right, now listen up.
3, 2, 1.
It's showtime.
That's great.
This is ridiculous.
99.3 The Truth.
You can't handle the truth. Right now.
Ooh.
That's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Let's do it.
Hit it. It's time for Mac's World.
And here we go.
Everybody, let's get it started. Let's get it started in here.
Call Mac 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
It's showtime, everybody. Showtime.
Exclusively on 99.3 The Truth.
Oh boy. 7 minutes after 4 o'clock on the 14th day of July in the second millennial in the Lord's year 2016. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and this is Mac's World Live on a Thursday afternoon. And we are really honored to have some fine people in the studio. At least one of them's fine because he and I were talking, and he goes to Walnut Creek Church. And anybody goes to Dan Rude's church is a fine man.
Yeah.
Anybody else go to Walnut Creek?
Nope.
Okay, well, that's all right. But anyway, I want to introduce you to D'Angelo Johnson.
Yes, that's correct.
And you're with the Mothers Against Violence.
Yes.
Which is also the organization that's kind of representing the Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
Okay, and you are Calvetta?
Yes.
Did I say that right?
You sure did.
Calvetta Berry, and you are the CEO of the Black Lives Matter and the Mothers Against Violence.
Well, I'm the CEO of Mothers Against Violence. I work with Black Lives Matter.
Okay, Mothers Against, I better write that down because I'm not going to remember. Mothers Against Violence. And you were on, do you remember, weren't you on my show when we were down on the Skywalk?
Yes.
It's a long time ago.
I think so.
No,
Yeah.
I know you were.
Yeah.
Because, and I might get this wrong, because, by the way, they just walked in, so we have not had time to talk. Didn't you lose your child?
No.
No.
I lost a good friend of mine.
Okay.
So that's what prompted me to start my organization.
Yeah, because you started this.
Right.
Okay. Now, do you want to introduce those other people, or are they just going to quietly sit there and not say anything?
We have Deborah
Got to
Hill.
talk into the microphone, hon.
We have Deborah Hill Brooks here.
That's
and
you, right?
Yes.
Deborah. Okay.
And she's part of Mothers Against Violence, too.
Okay.
And then we have Jeray Griffith, and she's part of Mothers Against Violence.
Jeray. All right, so I need to write that down. Jeray and Deborah. All right. All right, good. Well, I always said we have a lot of people in this studio, and we have a lot of people in the studio. All right.
That proves your point earlier. We were talking about we might be able to get 20 people in here. Y'all think we could do it?
I think you could pull it off.
Oh, we got
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, yeah, we could get
We could do it because we still got
15
plenty of space
Absolutely.
in here.
Yeah.
All right, so here's what I need from you. I know you can't tell on the radio, but you can tell here I'm very white.
Right.
All right, and I'm 57, so I think that makes me like an old white guy.
Right.
I don't understand the Black Lives Matter movement. And so I thought, who better to explain this to me than somebody's in the movement? And I also know, D'Angelo, where your heart is as far as with the Lord is.
Absolutely.
And if either anyone else wants to share that they're there, I'm not saying that's essential. Well, it is. Can I preach the gospel to you for a few minutes? You got
Go ahead.
that?
Go
Okay,
ahead.
all right. So just help me understand. Here's my perception.
Okay.
And I know this isn't going to be right. So, but that's why I'm telling you it's my perception, because I want you to correct it. Ferguson, Missouri comes along. And you have a white cop who kills a young black man, which seems to be a pattern that either the media is highlighting or it's going on, and finally the media is highlighting. It could be one way or the other. And somehow out of that tragic situation, I always felt so bad for that mom. You know, she lost her son. I don't care.
Right.
You know, she lost her son. I can't even remember the young man's name. Brown?
Mike Brown.
What?
Mike Brown.
Mike Brown, okay.
It officially started with Trayvon Martin, supposedly, according to the
it
Facebook.
It did?
Yeah. He was before Mike Brown. Yeah.
Oh, but the two weren't tied together, but
No,
that's when...
separate
okay.
incidents.
I guess I never knew that. But Trayvon Martin...
The George Zimmerman...
But he wasn't white.
No, Trayvon Martin was black, and he was shot by a Hispanic George Zimmerman.
Correct.
Oh, so this isn't just a white-black thing?
No, he was African American, Trayvon Martin.
But what's his name was Latino.
Correct.
Yes, but
Zimmerman
he was like an
security guard
Yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
All right, so
possibly even neighborhood watch or
Yeah.
something.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's it.
So is it fair to say this is not necessarily about the color of the skin of the person that kills them? It's about the position of authority that they're in. No, yes, I'm not. It is kind of white black.
Yeah.
Yeah, honey, just
I would say so.
I want to hear what you have to say. You just got to come up the mic, please. This is Jeray.
Dre, yes, correct. The Black Lives Matter stem from basically, you know, you can consider it a black or white thing, yes, but it also, because George Zimmerman wasn't full Latino, he was a mixed race, which was Latino and white.
Okay.
So when that happened, that's, you know, and then Mike Brown, that's what started with the, you know, Black Lives Matters. It's not really stemmed to make it a racial, because all lives do matter. It's not that we're just saying our lives just matter, but you see more of the issues going on in our black community. And when you see issues like that and you don't get the help that you need, because they don't value us because of where we live or what our income is, what color we are. You know, so our lives is not valued like you would see in the suburbs. It's,
Okay.
oh,
We're just saying African Americans'
lives get
matter, just like
affected.
yours.
They
Okay.
just get affected just a little bit more than the white race would, or
Okay.
if he was in the suburbs.
All right, that's good. Now, guys, I want to hear everybody's voice here, but take a couple extra seconds and get in front of these microphones. These microphones are built that if Deborah and Jeray, if you two are talking back behind Calvetta, we won't hear you, which we shouldn't, unless you're trying to be on the radio. So just take that couple extra seconds. You know, just tell D'Angelo to get his butt out of here, Deborah, so you can move in front of the microphone. Because I want to hear from all of you. I just got to make sure that my audience can hear you if you talk. All right. So, what I heard you say, Jeray, is that it is black people being killed by mostly white people, but people in authority? Or is it just white? Whatever you say is okay with me. I'm just trying to figure this out. Is this a white? In other words, if I, a white man not in authority, for whatever reason, I shouldn't say me. That's a horrible thing. If Frank, who's a white, all right. So if I took a gun and I killed a black man, would that perfectly fit inside Black Lives Matter?
No, and here's something that I really think we have to begin to look at. We have to, if you really look at the Black Lives Matter movement, it's about broadening the conversation and looking at it from a standpoint of African Americans feeling powerless, having felt as though our voice cannot be heard. And so when you think about a movement behind the Black Lives Matter, that's what it's about. It's about raising awareness. It's about wanting to have that same treatment, our voice being heard, and being treated equally across the board. And so not necessarily what neighborhood you're from, not necessarily your social economic status, but being able to, when we feel as though there's an issue, we can bring it to the forefront. Our problems, our issues are going to be heard, and we're going to be treated fairly.
Okay.
Jeb, can you turn his microphone up, please? Thank you. It's number 5.
Here's one of the things that I don't understand. You say that I was listening, I really was, but that you don't feel like anybody's listening. Is it kind of? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
Oftentimes, our community does feel powerless.
Okay.
You just think about what we have seen, far as the continual killings, and I'm just going to use that as an example. I'm just going to grab a hold to that.
That's okay.
But you look at the killings, and we want justice in certain areas, and we have not seen that.
Okay.
And I think that is what is the bigger issue, far as the authority when it comes to the police and the black community.
Okay. The first thing that comes to my 57-year-old white man body, and I say that because I really am one of those. I mean, I live in the suburbs, and I'm just one of those guys. I just want to admit it. We have a black president. Why doesn't that empower your community? Because a black man, a black person has risen to the highest possible place in the world. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's any place, any other country in the world where a black man being president would mean as much as it does in America. Yeah, Deborah, come on in. I know you want to say something. That's cool, hon.
If you notice when those incidents started, it was after he was elected. So having a black president in power, in turn, made a race of different color than us feel threatened. So now you have individuals who are threatened by the fact that we do have a black president and what's going to happen to them, which has always been the case. Now, I'm a mother and I have 4 sons. We raise our sons with the thought of, if you are approached by a police officer, the first thing you do is you put your hands up. You don't move, you don't do anything. Don't make any sudden movements. I shouldn't have to raise my son like that. I don't know if you have a son or not, but when my older son is stopped by the police, the first thing he does is put his hands on the steering wheel and don't move. And that's how we have to raise them in order for them to live to be 30-something. That's not something white individuals live with. We do every day. When my sons go out in the street, and if I lived in a suburb, it would be worse.
Worse?
Because they would be surrounded by more white officers and be prompted to be stopped more often than they do in our neighborhood.
All right, Frank, you have a real quick question because hold your question. Okay. Hold your question. Going to take our first break. With those of you that had headphones on or on the radio, you hear music. We're going to take a break. We'll come back in 3 minutes, and then we'll be live again. All right. I have representatives from the Black Lives Matter, Iowa, Des Moines, Central Iowa, all the above.
Mothers Against Violence.
Okay. In the studio with us today, 244-0077 is the number. Call in if you have any questions. We'd love to hear your voice live here in Mac's World.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcast1live.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza, and it's got Graziano sausage.
Rock and Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rock and Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
21 minutes after 4:21 in the afternoon, live here in Max World on 99.3 The Truth. Don't forget, if you're thinking about retirement, if you're young like D'Angelo, do you have a retirement account set up yet?
I do.
See? See?
I'm in finances, so I better. I teach people on financial literacy, so I should have my stuff in order.
Well, we work with a company called Weiss Merkel, and they put on these free 3-hour seminars, which they just answer every question you can. And we're just encouraging people to go to one. It's next Tuesday, July 19th. It's in Upper Iowa University building there at 50th and Westtown Parkway. Call us or call them. You can call Jebediah and he'll get you signed up, or you can call them at 278-4110. Thank you very much, Jebediah. All right. Great show today. We're going to run out of time. Should have done this as a 2-hour show. Maybe you guys can come back. These folks are passionate about an organization which Calvetta Berry started called Mothers Against Violence. That was about 4 years ago?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, something about that. How's it going?
It's going. It has its ups and downs, but
yeah. Welcome to ministry, right?
That's right.
All right, and D'Angelo Johnson is sitting next to her.
Yes.
And then we have Deborah, and we have Jeray. Did I send that right? Okay. And we don't have enough microphones because Frank needs his own, and Chris needs his own.
Me and Bob is sharing.
And Jebediah needs his own. Well, Bob is kind enough to share. So if you ladies, when you want to say something, and I want you to say something, you both have said something already, just take that couple seconds and get in front of the mic. Okay, another way you can communicate with us is through the Service Legends Truth text line at 515-809-0993. And Bob, I believe you have a couple of texts to share with us, or Frank, you have a couple of texts to share?
Yeah, I do. It says...
Bring it over a little farther. Thanks.
Can you ask them if they saw the speech from the ESPYs? Ask their thoughts, if so.
I don't...
I have not.
I don't know what that's about.
Is it... I heard it was some of the athletes and...
Oh, yeah, I did.
You seen it?
Do you know what it's about, Deborah? Because, I don't...
I seen something.
When did this happen?
This was yesterday. The ESPY,
oh, my gosh.
ESPY Awards happened yesterday, and LeBron...
ESPY meaning ESPN.
Yeah, I guess
no,
that's what I'm not sure what it means.
Okay,
but LeBron James stood up and gave a speech, and they were talking about lives matter. Period. Black lives matter. Police officers matter, and we cannot have violence to eliminate other violence. In other words, we should not be reacting with violence because of other violence. There's other ways to do it. And all these athletes, 4 of them. Carmelo, I'm not good with all their names, but
that's all right.
Yeah, they all stood up and had something to say about the police incidents, the guys who were murdered or killed in whatever fashion, but they did have something to say, and they're supporting the fact that people matter.
Okay. All right, 515-244-0077. That's the number you can call. Let's go live to the phones. Hi, you're live in Max World. Who's this?
This is Paul. How you doing?
Good, Paul. How are you?
My service, I worked security for a while, so I just want to know how many people there have actually did a ride-along with the police department to find what the job curtails. I mean, have you seen the arrest? Have you seen like that? One of the ladies that mentioned in there that her son has to put the hands on the wheel and everything like that. That's standard practice. When a policeman pulls up on a car, they'll run the license plate of that car first to find out who the car belongs to. If the car is to a registered felon, they'll take special precaution like that. And generally, in a lot of low-income, because I worked at low-income areas in their city and stuff like that, there's a large felony rate in there and violent crime. So they got to take special precaution going on that. Not only protect themselves, but the community that they're in. So it's not an identification of color up front. It'll be with the car, location, all that stuff matters.
All right, Paul, thank you for calling in. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, Paul, a couple of things. We have been working with the Des Moines Police Department, and we've been trying to actually encourage that. Something that we really want to do is actually get the community involved with the ride-alongs. This is something that has been on our agenda. We've spoken with the chief and some of his staff, And that is encouraged. We really want that. I really believe the more we're out there, as well as the community sees us with the police, and they see that we actually have a great relationship and a working relationship, I think it will be beneficial for the community as a whole. And that's something that Calvetta really strives for with her foundation. The police have no problem contacting her. People from the community have no issue contacting her. And I want to speak directly to the comment that Deborah made, and you also mentioned in your comment. As a young black male, I'm originally from Gary, Indiana, Northwest Indiana, Chicagoland area, if you know that area, and then coming here to Des Moines as well. So my experience has been when I'm pulled over, doesn't matter if I'm in a brand new car or whatnot, I typically have my registrations, my license, and my insurance at the window down, hand out, ready for them to take that information before they even ask me, do you know what I pulled you over for? Because I don't want to make any subtle moves. I don't want to have the officer feel as though his life is threatened in any form or fashion. And so that's just a precaution that I've taken. No one had to teach me that, but that's just something I've had to do. Now, I can say, being in Des Moines and West Des Moines, I haven't personally been bothered by the police. And I live in a great neighborhood. I drive a decent car. And so, but when I was younger, there were certain areas within Iowa, other suburbs, that will pull over, will pull over the car even if I'm a passenger in the car. And this would be with me riding along with a Caucasian male who may be my best friend, who is my best friend. And so there definitely are times where you're picked out. You know, there are definitely times where we are profiled. And if you know me, I never use race I never pull the race card. I never will use that at all. But I will say there are instances where I have absolutely been pulled over. I have friends that's officers and that are on the force. And so I'm very conscious of what does happen.
All right, we've got folks today in the studio, in case you just tuned in, from Mothers Against Violence. We have Calvetta Berry, D'Angelo Johnson, Deborah, and Jeray. You can give me your last names if you want, but Deborah, what?
Jeray Griffith.
Jeray Griffith. Okay, thanks. I want to write that down. Hold on, Deborah. Griffith. And your last name, Deborah? If you want to use it.
It's Brooks Hill.
It's what?
Brooks Hill.
Brooks Hill.
Brooks Hill. All right. Frank, you have a question.
I appreciate D'Angelo's comments. I'm heading on Interstate 35, coming back from Missouri. Missouri State Trooper flipped around on me. Time he rolled up on me, I was stopped at a dead stop, had my license out the window. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I think that's good advice for everyone. Yeah. Sudden movements is not good for anyone. But here's my question. And you touched on a couple of these points here. Don Lemon hosted a town hall last night on CNN. Part of the panelists' argument was the idea that an officer's command to put both hands on the wheel is somehow exclusive to blacks or by nature a racist command. I'm a white with longer hair driving a later model car, 1979 Malibu, and I was pulled over twice in this vehicle by an Urbandale officer and a state trooper with their hands on their pistol, unsnapping their holster, ready to draw, saying, "Hands on your wheel." Was I profiled? In your opinion, being, I don't have any tattoos, long hair, may think I'm drug related, I don't know, but I think it's the older model car. Now, when I'm in a newer model car, like in the thousands, I don't even get people looking at me, mm-hmm. But a lot of times I think when you have an older model car, as I did, I had a sticker on my back saying, "Pull me over and see if I have insurance," etc. What do you think?
I think it happens to not only African American people; it happens to other people too. But And we're not trying to say it doesn't happen, but as statistics shows that it happens a lot to African American people.
Let me tell you a great story. So this whole thing in Ferguson is going down, and I just don't understand. And my mother is a retired Superior Court justice. She's a big deal. And I called her and I said, Mom, and she's Democrat. Well, that's not important. I'm conservative. She's Democrat. So we don't get along very well sometimes. And I said, Mom, I want to understand where this is coming from. And she led me to a book, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was a guy who did research on black men who were disappearing in the early 1900s. And what would happen is a black man would be arrested, probably for no good reason, taken before the magistrate, and the magistrate would say, well, you know, we're going to give you 5 years and a $10,000 fine. And then some sharecropper or some white guy would walk up and say, Judge, I'd be glad to let that person work off that $10,000 for the 5 years with me, and then I'll pay his fine. And the judge would say it's okay. There's no money ever paid, and that black man would disappear. And this would happen over and over. Then it would happen with young black females. And what my mother was help me understand was there is a history in this country of white people in authority taking advantage of black men and black women, and families would just disappear. Dad would come home one day, Dad would go to work the next day, and Dad would never be seen again. And this is one of the reasons why your African American community has every single right to understand that authority is not always on their side, but against them. Right. And I wish I could remember the book. If you want it, I'll try to find it and text it to you or whatever. But it was not a good read, by the way. It was a hard read because it was statistic after statistic after statistic of these black men and women, children and adults, who would just disappear. And if they got a chance to escape, or if for some reason they were allowed to go back to their families, they would tell these stories. Mm-hmm. And eventually, in the 50s and 60s, these people were prosecuted. Because finally, because of Martin Luther King, there was a voice out there that was credible that would stand and say, hey, Deborah's great-grandfather or Deborah's grandfather disappeared, and this was the judge and this was the sharecropper. And guess what? Those two names appeared in 100 different cases of missing black men and women. Now, I don't know if any of you knew that, but that's where a lot of this comes from. And Deborah, come on forward. And it's completely legitimate in the African-American community. Come right up here, Deborah.
I didn't hear about that, but if you saw the news not too long ago where they did a special report on the university that was built off of blacks who helped them build the university. I think it was a real prominent university. I think it's Crawford University or something like that. And what they did was they were in debt. So what they did was after those black individuals helped them build it, they sold them all to pay the debt. And it's on records where families have been looking for what happened to their missing family members. And those records show that they were sold to pay the debt for that university. Now they're trying to figure out right now, can we give their great-great-grandkids some scholarships or something like that, because now they're embarrassed. Because
this is in America.
This is in America
okay.
Because it's caught up with them.
Yeah.
And the debt was like $15,000. And they sold these 200 individuals to pay that debt, to keep the university open.
That's very interesting. I'm glad you told me that. All right. We're going to take our next break. Time is flying by. We're coming back. I've got the folks from Mothers Against Violence. This is a Des Moines group founded by Calavetta Berry, and they also are here speaking for Black Lives Matter. Coming back live here with Jesus.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position is Chief Talent Officer.
I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
And I'm the Service Manager.
Marketing Director and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us. 100% satisfaction.
We're not just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% money back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. You'll get one of our representatives answering the phone every time.
We're not sending you out to Timbuktu in some call center. It's our Service Legend team members, our mission control team.
I'll take a call anytime.
And then they answer the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put 100% money back guarantee on what we do, what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7, 365 days a year.
Enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
22 minutes before the top of the hour, 4:38 in the afternoon on the 14th day of July in the second millennium of the Lord's year of 2016. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and this is Max World Live, MAC''S World Live, here on 99.3. We're here every day from 3 to 5, and we are a local talk show. We are not syndicated because nobody in Winston-Salem cares what's going on in Des Moines. Maybe, but probably not. So that's, people always ask me, why don't you syndicate? Why don't you syndicate? Because I don't want to talk about national topics. You know, you got a handful of topics you can talk about every day. I want to talk about your neighborhood. Absolutely. I mean, that's what we're doing here. We're talking about Des Moines neighborhoods. All right, I've got, better get my paper open. I've got Calvetta Berry. It's a beautiful name.
Thank you.
Calvetta Berry, D'Angelo Johnson, Deborah Brookhill, and Jeray Griffith. And they represent Mothers Against Violence and also are speaking for the Black Lives Matter movement. Is there a rally this weekend somewhere, like here in Iowa?
We had one last Friday.
Yeah, I know you had one last Friday.
I don't know of one coming up this weekend.
Okay. Is there a planned gathering or in Cleveland around the Republican National Convention that you know of?
I seen that on the news, but I can't speak.
But you haven't heard anything?
Yeah, I haven't heard anything.
Friday was awesome, right?
It was.
Very peaceful.
Peaceful. Nobody coming in to make trouble.
Nope.
How do you guys work with Des Moines PD? I don't know if we have a good police department in Des Moines or not. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't know. And you don't have to say they're not good, but well, I don't know what you want to say. Maybe you don't want to answer that question at all. I don't know.
I take the fifth.
Yeah, there you go.
But no, we have a good police, force. I know there is some dirty cops, just like in any other city. We have good, we have bad.
Sure.
So.
And that's with any city, any business.
Exactly.
Wouldn't you say? I mean, you're in the
finance. We have good people. We have bad people. So.
Yeah. You said you're in the finance industry, and obviously there's some crooks out there like
Absolutely.
Madoff and those kind.
Absolutely.
And then there's guys like you who are
trying to
honest.
do it right. Absolutely.
Trying to do it right. And he goes to Dan Rude's church, so I got to give him props
Walnut
for that.
Creek.
Yeah, I love that church.
Great church.
All right. You have a question, Frank.
Yeah, okay. This is just.
Hold on. You have a text, Bob. Let's go to the Service Legends Truth text line first at 809-0993. You got a question or something, you can just text it into us.
Okay, here's it's a text that has some data. It says cops killed nearly twice as many whites as blacks in 2015, according to data compiled by the Washington Post. 50% of the victims of fatal police shootings were white, while 26% were black. The majority of these victims had a gun or were armed or otherwise threatening the officer with potentially lethal force, according to McDonald in a speech at Hillsdale College. More whites and Hispanics die from police homicides than blacks. According to McDonald, 12% of white and Hispanic homicide deaths are due to police officers, while only 4% of black homicide deaths were the result of police officers.
All right, so what is that text? What's the point that texter is trying to make, in your opinion, Bob?
Well, to show, I guess, that more whites, Hispanics are victims, I guess, of police shootings. But, and that's what I'm guessing it is.
Okay. All right. Frank, any comment on that? If not, Frank, your question.
Go ahead. This is my personal opinion. I think the perception of this movement,
opinions of Frank the Verse are not necessarily those of KTIA, The Truth, or Max World Live.
I'm just prefacing the question with my opinion. I think the initial movement kind of got saw in some people's eyes wrong. If the goal is a race-blind society, do you think leading with race in the title in and of itself is divisive? How about all lives matter, including black? So in other words, if you're leading with race as the first component in the title, it would seem better to me if we're saying everybody's life is important, including ours. Not saying that your life isn't important, but it's almost making it divisive because of the fact that immediately you're leading with race.
All right. So for me, when I think about Black Lives Matter, okay, I will absolutely agree with you on the fact that that could seem divisive to some. It's not along the lines of wanting to be divisive. It's for blacks to unite and to stand up. And all lives do matter. Black lives, blue lives, meaning officers, white lives, Asian, whatever you are, your life matters. And to kind of go back to what that individual said when they texted in and they gave those statistics, I know the statistics. I know the disparity there as far as the whites and Hispanics and what they actually are. The question is what are they doing about it? Why are they not uniting? Why are they not standing up? And that is what we're trying to do. Not to be divisive, but to say as a community, there's more to the name Black Lives Matters. We need to unite. And if that is what's going to unite us as a people, then let that be. But it's not to say any other life doesn't matter. You cannot minimize what Black Lives Matters means, because it's moving to beyond just the authority being of a police officer and the black man or woman.
Well, I think the conversation Chris and I was having is let's move it away from a race issue and talk about an overbearing police amongst all race.
Absolutely.
Let's make it a police issue, not a race issue.
And again, it kind of goes back to that. You know, you can give the statistics, but what are you doing to change that? You moved away from that question, which was great, but you have to have other people willing to step up for their communities as well. So if Caucasians are saying, "Hey, we were killed more," well, yeah, okay. You also have a higher population throughout the country. You look at Hispanics. They have a higher population across the country. So when you look at the percentage of our people that are impacted, you have to also look at our population across the country. So being in finances, numbers can be deceiving sometimes.
Well, blacks are about 13% of the population, and you feel that they're being killed at a larger rate.
I mean, if you're looking at it percentage wise, you can break that down into everything, from arrest rate to again, just being pulled over. The 31%. That we're pulled over 31% more times than Caucasians, 23% more times than Hispanics. You look at how often people are pulled over. So we can look at that across the board.
Okay.
And make an argument for it.
Okay, D'Angelo, but I, this is my question.
Mm-hmm,
I take responsibility for this question. If blacks do more crime, then they're going to be in jail more. Now, that's not a race comment. It just happens. I don't think it is. I don't mean it as it. It's just, I said at the beginning, I'm an old white guy.
Yeah.
Well, if old white guys are, in fact, there's a lot of old white guys in prison from way back when, and it was from the gun running, the booze running, all that stuff that we did in the 40s, 50s, and 60s to get around what was going on in America.
Absolutely.
So my question is, if blacks do more crime, then of course there's going to be more blacks in prison.
Deborah wants to speak, and I do have a comment on that.
I was going to touch on that as well.
Okay, where are we? We got 1 minute, and then we're going to take a break.
Okay, I'm going to say this because blacks are targeted more for the same crimes whites. So if you have a young black man that has an ounce of weed on him, he's going to get caught in his neighborhood. But you can have a young white guy with an ounce of weed on him in his neighborhood, he's not going to get stopped. So therefore, he's not going to get arrested. Same crime, different location, different outcome. And then you have, my dad's a police officer, my dad is this, I live in the suburbs, I've done this, let's push that under the rug. He's not going to jail, but my son would go to jail.
Okay, 10 seconds, real quick.
From my experience, it ain't even so much of this person getting caught with an ounce of weed and then my son who is black that gets caught with an ounce of weed. It goes off also the education, them not knowing what they can do as a citizen to fight for themselves, because they just give us whatever they want to give us and say, hey, that's what you're taking.
Okay.
And our people are not educated enough to say, I'm fighting.
Okay, we're taking a break. We're coming back. Last break live here on The
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, your home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcastonelive.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
10 minutes before 5 o'clock, 4:50 in the afternoon, Salem Radio Network News at the top of the hour. And then after that, Hank, the Bible Answer Man, 1-888-HANK, or Ask Hank, worldwide live show if you want to get in. He only takes about 12 to 16 calls per hour. He's on 1 hour. Frank's been on his show several times. In fact, I think Frank and Hank are like you're going to open up a barbecue place.
I agreed with him the last time I heard Hank talking, so I don't always disagree with him.
No, all right. We only have a few minutes left, and I want to turn the microphones over to you guys and give you an opportunity to make some statements, and then I'm going to book you again if that's okay. We'll have you come back in a couple weeks because we just did not have enough time to get this done.
Just briefly, just to end with, I wanted to touch bases on what we ended the last session with before the break, and the disparate treatment when you look at African Americans or really any other minority versus Caucasian. And I know we said some people may get pulled over in their neighborhood and with the same amount of marijuana or something like that, just sticking along that example. To where a Caucasian may even have more, and the penalty may be completely different. I don't know if it's. I'm going to say definitely race has a part there. Socioeconomic status definitely has a part there, but like I told you all off the air, for me, accountability is a big deal. The integrity piece of it. I really feel as though we have to be accountable as well. If you're going out and unfortunately you have marijuana or you have anything illegal, you're doing anything illegal that can be considered a crime, we have to be willing to face that as well. And there's a accountability factor. We cannot say that we're being, especially if you know you're being targeted and you know people are watching, you need to move even more carefully. And so I just want to end with that. We also need to be accountable. As much as there are factors that we can't control our own actions.
I appreciate that comment. I mean, that's good advice.
Okay, Jeray, you want to be next?
And to touch on also
Deborah, you step up to that mic, please.
D'Angelo said, like you said, we got to be more accountable for the things that we are also doing. And not only that, we have to learn to educate ourselves as well, because without educating ourselves, there's going to be no solution. How can we come up with a solution if we don't know what the problem is? That's where, and it starts from there too. We got to educate ourselves, not only just in the black race, in all races, so that we can come together and be able to unite, and solve the issues that are going on.
Now, and that's what I think is good about the Black Lives Matter movement, and that's one of the things you said, D'Angelo, when you sat down, is it is a voice in the community. It is a voice that is being listened to. And as you had last Friday here in Des Moines, most of those gatherings are very peaceful.
Yes.
But the minute one goes wrong, and I'm probably one of them, immediately stereotype, see that Black Lives Matter thing. See, every time they get together, there's a problem.
And it's a pocket. It's not the entire movement. There's a pocket of individuals that come with ill intent, and then that becomes the image of the movement.
Well, for Christians, it's those idiots from Westboro Baptist Church.
Yes.
Yes. Right. So any non-believer or non-follower or atheist or agnostic thinks that all Christians are going to walk around saying God hates gay people and stuff like that. And I don't know how many times I've looked at a non-believer and said, do you really think that those 100,000 people in Central Iowa that go to church on Sunday really feel that way? Well, yeah. Well, as you said, education, right?
Mm-hmm. Do you think there's people out to hijack the movement?
I don't think there's people that's necessarily out there to hijack a movement, but here's something that you have to think. The Black Lives Matter moves people to action, all right? And something that I heard the other day I thought was so great. You can have many people move to action, but how many people are also united in thought? And so you have a united front in action, but you may not have a united front in thought. And that is so key, meaning that when you have people moving at the same in the same direction, and their thought process is, we want to be peaceful. We want to make noise, but we want to do it peacefully. We want to get we want to get out we want to get to the root of the issue.
Well, it seemed down in Ferguson that was the voices that was in control during the daytime, but as things got towards night, there seemed to be anarchists or people who was wanting to stir the pot. Do you think that's the case?
But when it's sin, and when does sin typically come out? People like to hide.
Yeah.
Sin is in the darkness,
Sure.
you know?
All right, now, Deborah, did you have anything you wanted to add before we run out of time?
I was just going to say, as far as the Black Lives Movement goes, movements like that come about because of what people see as injustices. If several police officers are getting killed, we expect the police officers to stand up and say, we matter too, just like they did down in Houston. Those individuals, I have people in my family who are police officers, and I would just dread one of them being shot because someone wanted to be upset because another life was taken. We cannot kill to salve other killings. But if Martin Luther King had not marched in response to other injustices, where would we be now? We forget that these actions are a reaction to what we are seeing as injustices of people being killed. And I wouldn't care if they were blue, black, purple, green, or whatever. If someone is shot and they're unarmed, then something needs to be done.
Okay. You're very well spoken, by the way. I'm glad you chose to get in front of the microphone today. Thank you. Well, you all are, but I thought you two were kind of going to be quiet. And you're the quietest one over here, Calvetta, and you're the founder. You have the last word.
I agree with us being accountable for our actions, but with the Black Lives Movement, we want the officers to be accountable too. You know, we've been seeing for a couple years now, they get to go home, paid leave, and some of these black men, they don't come home. You know, they're gone. You know, these kids are suffering. So that's what the Black, Lives Matter movement is about. You know, accountability. We want justice, and it's not really a race issue to me. It's about just being accountable. You're getting caught on tape.
Yeah.
And you see that these men should have been allowed to be accountable for their actions, but they're not. They're not coming home. They're not going to jail. They're dying.
They're dead. All right. Anybody? We got like 20 seconds. Anything else? Okay. Thank you all very much. For those of you listening at home, you're right. We didn't get enough conversation in today. So what we do in Mac's World is we rebook this, and I'm just kind of throw it out here. No, I got somebody a week. No, I don't have somebody. How about a week from today? Does that work for you guys? Why don't you check it out? We'll see. I shouldn't do that on the air. But a week from today, same. But we're going to have you in at 3. And then we'll have the whole 2-hour show. You're not, can you come in after a little later, though?
If it's only on a Monday or a Tuesday, I can come in.
Okay, we'll figure this out. All right. Love my job. Can't do it without you. So thanks for listening. Podcasts available at Mckoy, McMckoy.com. It is a webcast. It has pictures. And pass it on. It's free. Pass it on. You don't have to sign up. Pass it on. Let's get the word out there that Des Moines is talking about this. And we're not just laying down and saying it doesn't happen here. It does. It has. It will. And we need to talk about it. As I always tell you, today go home with that resentment you carry towards somebody and forgive them. Because as you forgive, you shall be forgiven. I'll see you in church.